If you miss my wedding, Madison, I'm done with you forever." The words hung in the air between the two sisters like a loaded weapon. Lieutenant Colonel Madison, Viper, Reynolds, the woman who had led Special Forces teams through the deadliest missions in 3 different war zones, felt her chest tighten at her younger sister's ultimatum. Sophia Reynolds stood in her wedding dress fitting room, tears streaming down her face as she stared at her reflection. At 26, she was tired of being second place to her sister's military career, tired of watching Madison choose strangers over family, tired of understanding. "Soph, that's not fair. 16 years, Madison," Sophia snapped, spinning around, her voice breaking. 16 years of, "Sorry, there's an emergency." 16 years of empty chairs at Christmas dinner, missed birthdays, and FaceTime calls from God knows where instead of hugs. Madison stood frozen as her sister continued, each word hitting like shrapnel. "Dad's funeral, you missed it for a training exercise. My college graduation, deployment. My engagement party, some classified mission you couldn't even tell me about." Sophia's voice dropped to a whisper. "I'm getting married once, Madison. Once. And if you can't choose me this one time." The bridal shop fell silent except for Sophia's quiet sobbing. Madison looked at her sister, beautiful, heartbroken Sophia, who had spent her whole life loving a ghost. "I promise," Madison said, her voice carrying the same steel she used when commanding troops. "I swear on Dad's grave that nothing will keep me from being your maid of honor." "Nothing." Sophia met her sister's eyes in the mirror. "You've made promises before. This one's different." "Huh, why?" Madison stepped forward, placing her hands on Sophia's shoulders. "Because if I break this one, I lose you forever, and I'd rather die than let that happen." 6 months later, at 0500 hours on Sophia's wedding day, Madison's secure phone shattered the pre-dawn silence of Fort Benning. She knew before answering what this call would mean. Emergency calls at dawn only brought one thing, impossible choices. "Colonel Reynolds," she answered, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Madison, we have a situation," General Harrison said grimly. "American hostages in Venezuela, Ambassador Williams and his family, including his 4-year-old daughter and 7-year-old son." Madison's blood turned to ice. She knew Ambassador Williams. He had served with her father in Desert Storm, had attended her commissioning ceremony 8 years earlier. "Timeline?" she asked, already knowing her world was about to implode. 18 hours until execution. "We don't negotiate with terrorists, Madison, you know that." Madison looked at her dress blues hanging in the closet, the uniform she had planned to wear to Sophia's ceremony. Beside it hung the blush pink bridesmaid dress Sophia had chosen specifically, "because it'll look perfect with your complexion, Maddie." "Wheels up in 90 minutes, the general continued. "You're the only one qualified to lead this extraction. Those children are counting on you." Madison closed her eyes, seeing Sophia's tear-streaked face from 6 months ago. "If you miss my wedding, Madison, I'm done with you forever." But she also saw Ambassador Williams's family photo, little Lucy with her gap-toothed smile, Marcus in his baseball cap. "I'll be ready, sir," Madison whispered, hating herself with every word. At that exact moment, 200 miles away in Savannah, Sophia Reynolds was having her hair styled for the biggest day of her life. "Your sister's going to cry when she sees you," Emma, her maid of honor substitute, said as delicate flowers were pinned into Sophia's blonde hair. "Madison's never seen you this beautiful." Sophia smiled, heart full. She promised she'd be here early. Knowing Madison, she's probably already at the venue checking security and making sure everything's perfect. "She's been planning my wedding like it's a military operation." For the first time in 16 years, Madison had kept her word, no last-minute calls, no emergency deployments. That morning, Sophia had woken to a text from Madison, "Getting dressed now. Can't wait to stand beside my baby sister today. Love you, Soph." What she didn't know was that Madison had sent the text before the call that destroyed everything. Madison's hands shook as she scrolled to Sophia's contact. The call went straight to voicemail. "Soph, it's me," she began, voice cracking. "I need you to know, what I'm about to tell you is breaking my heart. There's a mission. American children are going to die if someone doesn't." She stopped, unable to make the betrayal hurt any less. "I'm so sorry. I love you more than my own life, and I'll spend the rest of my days making this up to you." 90 minutes later, Madison was airborne in AC-17 surrounded by elite operators, staring not at tactical briefings but at photos from Sophia's bridal shower. Master Sergeant Jackson Torres, her closest friend, dropped into the seat beside her. You look like someone just canceled Christmas, Colonel. My sister's getting married today, Madison said quietly. Jackson whistled. Jesus, ma'am, that's brutal. But those kids need me more than Sophia needs me in a bridesmaid dress. I know, Madison finished. Doesn't make me feel less like the worst sister in history. 800 miles away, Sophia was beginning to realize her maid of honor had vanished. After 6 rounds of, "Has anyone seen Madison?" a voicemail notification chimed. Sophia listened, and broke. "She's not coming," she whispered. "There's a mission. Children are involved." Tears streamed down her face as the room fell silent. "My sister isn't coming to my wedding." 3,000 miles away in the Venezuelan mountains, Madison discovered that intelligence had been disastrously wrong. The supposed hostage compound was empty. Hidden cameras revealed the truth. The hostages were being moved every 6 hours through a cave system 30 miles deeper in the mountains. At 1500 hours local time, 4 hours before Sophia's ceremony, drone surveillance finally located the real site. But it required a 3-hour hike through hostile terrain, and the cave entrance was rigged with enough explosives to level half the mountain. Madison calculated the timeline. Even in a perfect scenario, she was looking at an 8-hour operation. Sophia's wedding would be over long before the hostages were safe. At 7 p.m. Eastern Time, as Madison rappelled down a cliff face, Sophia walked down the aisle in a breathtaking ivory gown. An empty space stood where Madison should have been. When Sophia handed her bouquet to Emma, sweet Emma, who wasn't Madison, her heart cracked. As the ceremony continued, she kept glancing at the back doors, praying her sister would slip in. The doors stayed closed. Deep in the cave system, Madison faced the most difficult extraction of her career. Ambassador Williams was injured. His wife was in shock. Their children were dehydrated and terrified. The cave was wired with motion-activated charges. Disarming the system would take 6 to 8 hours. Midnight at best. The wedding long gone. Madison stared at her satellite phone but couldn't bring herself to call. Instead, she worked, until she made a decision that changed everything. "Torres," she said, calling her second in command. "I need you to take command of the extraction." Jackson's eyes widened. "Ma'am, are you abandoning the mission?" "I'm delegating to the most competent operator I know," she said. "They don't need me. They need a leader, and that's you. Colonel, this is career suicide. You can't leave a hostage rescue for a wedding." "Do you have siblings?" she asked. "3 sisters. Ever break a promise that cut one of them to the bone?" Jackson's face fell. "Yes, ma'am. Did you ever get the chance to fix it?" Ma'am." Madison met his eyes. "Then you understand why I have to go." Against every protocol she had ever learned, Madison coordinated the most audacious extraction of her career, extracting herself. Within minutes, she had arranged a helicopter to Colombia, a military transport to Atlanta, and a vehicle convoy to Savannah. She tracked the mission the entire way. By 0545 hours the next morning, as sunlight crept over the Georgia coast, 3 black military SUVs sped toward Magnolia Gardens. Madison, exhausted, dusty, face streaked with camouflage, stepped out as the reception still glowed with lights and music. Inside, Sophia swayed in Jake's arms, trying to enjoy her evening while carrying the weight of her sister's absence. "I just keep thinking she'll walk through those doors," she admitted. "Part of me is still waiting." Before Jake could comfort her, the reception hall doors burst open. Conversations died. The band stopped mid-note. Every guest turned as Madison strode in, still in combat fatigues, boots echoing on the wood floor. Sophia froze. "You came," she whispered. "I promised you I would," Madison said. "No." Sophia's voice hardened. "You promised you'd be my maid of honor. You promised you'd be here for my wedding. You missed everything. My ceremony, my first dance, the cake cutting. Everything that mattered." Madison's face crumpled. "I know. I'm so sorry, Soph. There were children. There are always children," Sophia cried. "Always someone who needs saving more than your own family. Do you know what it felt like to wonder if you were dead while I walked down the aisle alone?" The hall stayed silent. "I left the mission," Madison said quietly. "I left American hostages in a cave in Venezuela and flew here because I couldn't break my promise to you again." Sophia blinked. "You what?" "I delegated to Torres. I extracted myself. Because you needed me more than my country did today." She pulled up a photo of the rescued children. "They're safe. My team got them out. But I realized I could save every child in the world, and it still wouldn't matter if I kept losing you. Sophia stared at her, really stared. Madison looked like she had crawled through hell. You really left a mission for me. I left a mission for us, Madison whispered. Because saving my sister's heart is just as important as saving strangers' lives. Tears spilled down Sophia's cheeks. Madison, you could be court-martialed. Probably, Madison admitted, but I couldn't live with breaking another promise, not to you. Sophia stepped forward and threw her arms around her sister. You're an idiot. Madison stiffened. Soph, an idiot for thinking you had to choose between saving children and being my sister. You're both. The hall erupted in applause as the sisters clung to each other, crying. I missed your wedding, Madison whispered. But you didn't miss my marriage, Sophia replied. And that's what matters. Jake approached, smiling. So, do I finally get the legendary Madison Reynolds as a sister-in-law? Madison eyed him. Depends. You going to take care of her? Every day for the rest of my life, Jake promised. Then welcome to the family. What happened next became family legend. Madison, still in fatigues, gave an impromptu maid of honor speech that had the room in tears. She danced with Sophia to their father's favorite song, camouflage paint smearing onto Sophia's gown. She walked Sophia and Jake to their honeymoon. Sweet at midnight, laughing like they had when they were kids. When Sophia asked what would happen to Madison's career, Madison shrugged. The Joint Chiefs will probably have some words for me. But my CO has 3 daughters. I think he'll understand that some promises are worth bending the rules for. 6 months later, Colonel Madison Reynolds received the Medal of Valor for rescuing the Williams family. The citation made no mention of her early departure. She wore her dress blues proudly, but what filled her heart was the sight of Sophia in the front row, 3 months pregnant and glowing. After the ceremony, Sophia approached. Madison, I need you to promise me something. Madison tensed. When this baby is born, Sophia said softly, I need you here. Not as Colonel Reynolds, as Aunt Madison. Madison looked at her sister, then at the medal, then back at the person who mattered most. I promise, Soph, she whispered. And this time, I'll keep it. Because Madison had finally learned that some promises matter more than medals, some relationships outrank duty, and sometimes, the most heroic thing you can do is simply show up for the people who love you.